One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and love, the thunderous roar. Insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his step, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his patrol cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Whistlers report he paves his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Wow, wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and at it this morning. Great to see everyone. Hopefully everyone's having a wonderful, fantastic morning, evening, afternoon, wherever the hell you guys are from. Much love and honor, respect to all of you guys for being here. We got a very interesting one for you guys. As you guys see, I have it listed. Some of these things we're going to be able to talk about in, in depth. Another thing like the White House press briefing that's going to be happening today. I'm not sure that it's going to be happening during our live stream, so it's probably going to be done sometime, afternoon time. That's usually when they do these press briefings. But we got the government shutdown continues. As you guys know, it's not been fixed in that regard. We're going to continue on that. And then the Hamas peace deal, we have a whole bunch of updates regarding that and the pressure that happened over the weekend. Now, we had a very, very eventful weekend, and I'm going to try not too hard to be able to focus on, like, all the shit that happened over the weekend, but some of it is necessary for your guys' context to understand what's going on, right? So, what I have for you guys lined up this morning is Trump says Israel agreed to initial withdrawal line in Gaza, which is fantastic news, but this is a little bit... I guess it was early morning yesterday that came out. And then anti-ICE protesters in Chicago and Portland, it's going off. So, of course, we got some stories on that as well. And then I'm sure that you guys heard over the weekend as well that there was a judge that temporarily blocked Trump's Portland troops deployment. Of course, that'll get, solved by the Supreme Court or whatever. Nonetheless, we got war in Gaza. Trump says first phase of peace deal should be completed this week, it says. And then negotiators meet in Egypt to discuss Gaza hostages and an end to the war, which is fantastic. It's interesting that they're meeting up in Egypt. I really thought they were going to do a lot of that over there in Qatar. Trump says, or Hamas could face complete obliteration, he uses, if it clings to power, which, of course... This is where all these updates are going to be coming into, I guess, all in context, right, of who's sticking to the deal and who's not sticking to the deal already. Trump speaks to reporters outside White House, so we have his remarks this morning. That was only 2 hours ago. And then last but not least, Supreme Court rejects appeal from Maxwell. So we have all of this that's going on this morning. Before we get into it, make sure you guys hit the like button. Helps out the show immensely, and it's absolutely free to do so. And you know what else is free to do so? Is hitting that subscribe button. But here comes a little bit of the money part. Please consider becoming a member starting only at $2.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to continue to do what we do, and we're only supported by you guys, honestly. Like, if we lived off of ad revenue, swear to God, you wouldn't even be able to afford free, maybe 2 packs of ramen, big cases of ramen. So yeah, that's probably what I'd get out of it. So I'm very appreciative of you guys. And little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, all of the great shit. I actually post a lot, man, over there on Instagram. I really hope that you guys do follow me over there. Real quick, before we get into all the stories, I'll just go ahead and show you guys a little bit of preview here. Let's see if he'll do it. There we go. I'm not going to put the music is, it's all right. Beautiful, beautiful way to wake up. Just hang out, you know what I mean? And then we got some good eating last night, you know, shit. It's just all lifestyle shit. And then behind the scenes shit of the show when we're going live, all that. So make sure you guys follow me over there. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted membership signups are all, of course, going to be presented live onto the show and presented and shouted out. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, well, then we have these platforms right here that you guys can donate to. And, of course, I'll read them out just like a super chat. I'm always trying to get better. Every time I don't look at my phone, I get something that comes in and then I miss it. So, I not miss it. I just get late to it. And I don't want to be late on that. That should be like instantaneous. I should be reading that before super chats kind of shit. So I do have it up. So if anything happens to come through, I got it. All right. Good morning to everyone. We got Jimmy Mack in the building. Always great to see you, kind sir. We got Miss Lotus as well as Rabbit of Chaos. Good morning and welcome in to everybody. We got Naomi in the building as well as Pablo and Prez. Always appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. We got Steve Easy as well as SNS. We got Sterling in the building as well. Yes, we got our counterclockwise tobacco always going. You know what I mean? Let's see. I like that. I like that, Sterling. He says, I am not wearing panties. Well, hey, make sure you guys hit the like button for Sterling not wearing panties. That's awesome. All right, good on you, bro. We got Steve Easy coming in for the 21 months, by the way, showing a little Shamrock love. You know what I mean? I always appreciate my man. 21 months, bro. That is fucking awesome. Thank you so much for 21 months, man. That is, I think you are the longest member. I think there's two people that are tied. And you are one of them, man. So I very much appreciate that. We got Path Killer as well as Get Some J. Good morning, gentlemen. And Two Wheel Jesus, good morning to you guys. Hopefully you're all doing well. We got Mountain Woman in the building as well as Sick Bastard, my man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and get right into this. I apologize. I always have to do my absolute best to show a little love to everyone that's here in the chat, supporting this show, making this show happen. So
we do have some breaking
news. Why is it so low?
Out of the Middle East. We've got a new post from President Trump on social media. It reads as such. After negotiations, Israel has agreed to the initial withdrawal line, which we have shown to and shared with Hamas.
Frank knows the deal.
When Hamas
and so this is the initial what basically Israel has agreed to the initial withdrawal, which is that yellow line. You guys can see that yellow line going to the black line. Real quick, we got Chatting with Stacks in the building as well, kind sir. Always appreciate you. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning as well. Happy Monday to everybody. Make sure, listen. I know that the Monday blues is a real thing, but we're going to try to make this shit better, and this is what we do all year.
Confirms the ceasefire will be immediately effective. The hostages and prisoner exchange will begin, and we will create the conditions for the next phase of withdrawal.
Is this guy a little low? Or is it just me? Because he's really low on my end. Now, the other videos may not be that way, but we'll see.
Which will bring us close to the end of this 3,000-year catastrophe, the president says. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and stay tuned. And then he attaches a photo of the withdrawal line, that yellow line there. That's the first of many phases of this 20-point withdrawal plan that the president has brought to Israel and Hamas. In a brief statement late Saturday, by the way.
Hey, get some. I get that totally. You know what I mean? Even for me, I look at my lifestyle as very much the point of like the 9 to 5 kind of job retired, but I am always nonstop working on this. Even on Sundays on my day off, I'm nonstop watching and making sure that I'm tuned in and keen to what's happening, So my whole life has been invested now into this, which in turn is a job, but it is a passion, you know?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he has sent a delegation to Egypt to, quote, finalize technical details, adding that their goal is to contain these negotiations to a time frame of a few days.
Now, this right here, let me just go ahead and read this because he's kind of just terribly monologuing over this. After negotiations, and this is from Donald Trump, by the way, and I saw this on the White House page originally. So anyways, after negotiations, Israel has agreed to the initial withdrawal line, which we have shown to and shared with Hamas. When Hamas confirms, the ceasefire will immediately be effective. The hostages and prisoners exchange will begin, and we will create the conditions for the next phase of withdrawal, which will bring us close to the end of this 3,000-year catastrophe, which I agree. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and stay tuned. Of course, and that's what we're going to do. Now, let's go ahead and see up here. We see some action, some different stuff. Looks like a protest of some sort for, you know, Palestinians. Let's see what's happening here.
The subject, live looks from across the world at demonstrations, Gaza war demonstrations. You're looking right now at Madrid, Spain, where we're seeing a pro-Palestinian demonstration.
Bro, Steve Easy knows exactly what kind of time I am on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Come on, bro. You know I get down with my bad self.
And then moving over to Rome, Italy, where we are hearing from our affiliates that some of the flotilla that's been traveling, or at least attempting to bring aid, a symbolic amount of aid to Gaza, well, some of that flotilla.
Well, you know, and these yet another protest. Yeah, these protests are kind of erupting all over the European, you know, over there in Europe. A lot of Europe is seeing a lot of these protests right now. And it's ironic just watching that these guys used to be the biggest staunch anti any type of Islam or, you know, that kind of ideology. And now they're all soft cocks and they want them to be infiltrated. Not only freed, you know, in their terms, in their context, but they also want to invite them to their own place, you know, which is insane to me.
Well, returning shortly here to this spot in Rome, Italy. You know what? It looks like we might be able to hear something. Let's pump up the audio for a moment.
Yeah, I'm with you, Pablo. I know exactly who's going to violate it.
Fiumicino Airport in Rome. We are seeing this developing situation, and if we hear of any other developments in either Rome or Madrid, again, both pro-Palestinian demonstrations, we'll keep you posted with any updates.
Of course. So, anyways, that's the little update that we have specifically with Israel. But we are going to be moving into more of a national discussion now. We got anti-ICE protesters in Chicago and Portland. Now, speaking about protesters, we're going to be going on our own soil. Let's go ahead and bring this up and see what's happening around Chicago and Portland. What is happening? And let's see if the volume fixes on this one.
All right, welcome back in the line.
He's low too.
We have to make you.
That has to do something with my fucking update. I guarantee you, because I just updated this computer. And I guarantee you, it messed with some bullshit.
Aware of some protest activity taking place in Chicago. Not a lot of context right here. We do know that anti-ICE demonstrations have been taking place. While we were in a commercial break, we saw at least one woman pouring water and milk on her face.
We got Glare up in the building as well. Kind sir, hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning. Great to see you.
Certainly indicative of some sort of tear gas being deployed at some point throughout the afternoon. This is a live
I folded
we're
it
working with right here. I'm going to bump the audio up. Viewer discretion advised.
She keeps knocking it over, and it drives me
I
insane.
always like to listen in to see what we can hear on the ground. Let's
so I just folded it.
There are still some federal agents here.
Okay, so this is in Chicago. This just got brought up right here where, because he even said, he goes, we have no context of what this is yet. We'll see here in a minute. Protesters face off with federal agents in Chicago, in Chicagoland. We got Brennan. Good morning.
Start recording.
Sorry, I'm going to get in here and get the big camera.
So we're seeing some of these protesters as the Trump administration, it was just announced.
What's up, Joseph? We got Joseph up there, my favorite snow Mexican up there in Canada. Always appreciate you. And he says, stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
As always, my man. Always appreciate you.
Earlier today, plans to federalize 300 members of the Illinois National Guard. Governor J.B. Pritzker said that earlier today. Pritzker said that the Guard received word from the Pentagon in the morning that the troops would be called up. He did
That's
not
true,
specify
Mount
when
Woman.
or where they would be deployed.
And Tiffany up in the building as well. She's sitting over there in the ER, man. That's absolutely rough. I saw what was going on this morning in the Discord. I'm super sorry. I hope that you feel better very soon. That's got to suck, man.
But President Trump has long threatened to send troops to Chicago. Governor's office did not respond to the AP immediately for extra detail or comment. So just wanted to make you aware that we are aware
Brother
of
TVT.
the ongoing protest activity in Chicago. We're going to continue on with our planned coverage for the afternoon. If we see things picking up in the area, we will go back to it. But for now, we've got many more headlines to touch on. A live look at Capitol Hill on this Saturday afternoon. We do have to head back overseas for a moment here. I want to talk about Europe. I want to talk about Russia. There's a lot of headlines we want.
Yeah, there is a lot of shit going on over there in specifically Europe.
Discuss relating to the Russia-Ukraine war and many more headlines related.
Oh, okay. So I thought he was going to be talking about Israel-Palestine right there, but I guess he's focusing on the topic of Ukraine and Russia.
To the wider conflict, if you will, and some of the discussions around NATO allies. National security analyst and host of the Strap podcast, Hal Kempfer, still here with me. So Hal, a lot of the discussion this week has focused on, as I said, NATO allies. We've been tracking the words of Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin. I want to talk about the China connection to this war for a moment here.
Uh-oh. You mean the BRICS nation, motherfucker?
We do know that President Xi and President Putin have a tight relationship, and Reuters is now saying that China is providing intelligence to Russia. Specifically, they're providing satellite imagery that's enabling Moscow to better launch missile strikes inside of Ukraine.
Wow. China is, leading in that kind of technology, I guess?
Hal, I think this is a good time to remind everyone about the China-Russia connection. How tight are the two states, and what's the trajectory of that relationship? Is it growing stronger?
What's up, Biker Babe? Good morning.
By the week?
Austin, officially, it is a friendship that knows no bounds, so to speak. They've been cooperating very closely on this. Now, throughout the war, there's been a number of things, components, things for dual use, we call, they have military and civilian application, and China's been providing a lot of that, a lot of the weaponry that makes it into, that's fired into Ukraine, that when they go in there and they look at it, they find a lot of Chinese components are in there. It's also believed that China uses its position to kind of help Russia circumvent some of the sanctions regime to get things that they need for military purposes that they can't get on the open market. So they use China as kind of.
Yep. It's their get around. If you can't get it from the United States, we'll go through because, United States may have a whole bunch of sanctions, which we do on Russia, all of these different things. They're just going to go, okay, well, fuck you. We'll just go to China, which is our partners in BRICS nation, and we'll just buy and purchase with our money, our currency, and keep it in the family. Of course.
Straw man, if you will, to kind of get that and then ship it in there. Another thing that's been reported is that China has weapons factories. They keep saying, "Oh, we don't build weapons or drones and send them directly in." However, it is widely believed they send in components of those things, and now it's reported that they are actually have factories that they have built in Russia, building weapon systems and stuff for Russia. So technically, not shipping it in, but it's Chinese owned, Chinese financed, Chinese run, and helping them do that. And of course, now. According to the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine, they're saying that China is helping provide target data for missiles and drones to the.
So they're doing that by just better technology of satellite imagery. The imagery that we already have that is available to even people like me and you. It's pretty crystal clear. I don't know what the difference there really
Russians,
is
in Ukraine. And interestingly, they point out that a lot of this data is for facilities where there's foreign investment. In other words, where Europe or the U.S. has invested in.
Okay, so it's intelligence. It's not necessarily satellite imagery. It's just intelligence on a satellite map, essentially, where and who these motherfuckers are in each building. Okay, that's an intel thing.
Manufacturing, for example, helping them with drones or helping them with other weapon systems, things like that, and specifically targeting those areas, those locations, those sites in Ukraine where there are distinct Western interests. And this is hybrid warfare in some ways. It's providing them intelligence. Now, with that said, this last week, it's also been reported, I should say, last couple of weeks, that the U.S. has been.
So yeah, they did say it down here, providing satellite intelligence. So it's not necessarily just satellite imagery; it's intelligence on top of it.
Has changed its stance and is providing deep strike target intelligence to Ukraine.
What's up, Bill Castle, my man, over there in Washington State? Always appreciate you. Aloha. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning.
That they're able to use with their long-range drones and also with their new Flamingo missiles, their homemade cruise missiles, similar to our Tomahawk missiles. And of course, the active discussion is, will the U.S. actually provide Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine? And
the answer is going to be yes.
That seems to be going back and forth.
Well, and I think that is enough of the story for you guys to understand what is happening there. Now we're going to move on into a judge temporarily blocks Trump's Portland troop deployment over the weekend. I'm sure you guys saw that maybe on social media, maybe on different mainstream media that was reporting it. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and bring it up, discuss it a little bit, talk about these rogue freaking judges that come out here, and they know that they're going to get demolished on the big end, but they just got to make Trump's administration and Trump's plan. They just slow down the process because they hate the country, bro. They just fucking hate the country. Anyways.
All right, welcome back in Alive now. I'm on.
Man, it's low.
Follow a live look at the White House. We've been following.
See, I just want to point out, remember how down here on the volume slide, if I had this all the way up, everyone's like, dude, this is way too loud. Like, you got to bring down your volume. And so there for a while, we were running it at this, like, halfway. And ironically, now everything's fucking quiet. So that's just having an update on your computer and redialing everything. I didn't touch any volume shit, but that's what happens. It sucks.
Very closely, the movements of troops being deployed.
Oh, you know what? Before we do get into the rogue judges, we do definitely got to, do a PSA. Everyone's got to.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
Shit.
Oh my God!
Real quick, we got Gunpowder Nitro in the building saying people are losing their shit. Absolutely. That is a fact, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning. Always appreciate having you in here. We got Extra Surprise as well, saying much love and respect, Mike Ball and viewers. Hey, always appreciate you hanging out with us, by the way. All right, back into this.
Cities across the U.S. and the idea of troops being sent to more cities across the country as well. The news of the day is that a federal judge in Oregon is temporarily blocking President Trump from deploying the National Guard in Portland, Oregon, ruling.
Oh, it's a fucking judge. It's a judge over there in Oregon. Surprising, bro.
Oh shit!
So I'm so surprised right now. And let me guess, it's definitely not going to be some sort of conservative judge or anything, because I don't think there is any conservatives in Oregon. But hey,
Saturday in a lawsuit brought by the state and the city. You've probably been watching some of our coverage
Moto
this weekend.
Bomb,
We've been
good morning.
watching as people have been gathering to protest in the streets of Portland, Oregon. We took some of those vantage points live yesterday. This is some of what we've seen earlier in the week as well. Ultimately, the judge handing down this decision because she said that there were relatively small protests and that it did not justify the use of federalized forces, and allowing the deployment could harm Oregon State's sovereignty. That's according to the judge that made this ruling. Hal Kempfer is here to discuss this. We've had Hal on to discuss the deployment of troops in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., the idea of it in Chicago.
And he actually does a very good job of not only having the intelligence on the back end to report the facts, but he actually reports the facts unbiased, which is something I really do appreciate.
Of course, Hal and I have been tracking the situation in Portland for the past few days. Hal, how likely is it for this to be overturned?
I read the the decision or the ruling, if you will. And it looks to me, based on the language that she used in that ruling, that it's very likely to be overturned at the appellate court level.
Yeah, shit. It doesn't even have to go to any sort of like Supreme Court or anything. Yeah.
The circuit court. And frankly, she mentioned martial law as a consideration. And there's just that, first off, under U.S. law, we don't have a provision for martial law. It's a term that Hollywood loves, but we don't actually have a term for it under U.S. law. So the
wild card in the building as well. Happy Monday morning, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself.
The fact that she referenced that, I thought, really kind of tended to diminish the credibility of the overall ruling when you look at it. And then, of course, she's talking about it's not needed. Well, now she's making a statement, if you will, a qualitative statement based on her view of the protests, but it's not a statement on the president's legal ability to send federalized National Guard to a federal facility. And that's a pretty big decision. When you're telling the president that the president cannot send the federal military to protect federal property, federal bases, federal installations, federal personnel, that's a pretty broad
yeah, but she's full of shit and everyone knows it. You know what I mean?
Broad opinion. So with that said, I just don't think it's going to survive when it goes up for review. But interestingly, that court decision.
And we got the name, by the way, of that judge right there. U.S. District Judge Karen Immergut. What a fucking weird, that's already a suspect fucking name. You're already sus to me.
It strictly applies to Oregon. The Oregon Attorney General obviously is only concerned about Oregon. So it's limited to Oregon itself and by extension limited to the Oregon National Guard.
Is it clear to us, let's say that this does eventually get overturned, is it clear whether troops can do anything there in the interim?
Well, the California National Guard is coming in, and they're going to actually deploy, I think the first 101 California National Guard troops rolled in last night in Oregon, and there should be 300 total that will be there, which is actually, I believe, about the same or maybe a little bit more than what Oregon was actually going to send up to Portland. What they'll do is kind of what they did in California. They will protect federal military or federal installations like the ICE facility in South Portland, like the federal building downtown. Any federal building, any federal property, you can use federal military. The president can use federal military to protect them. Not always the most cost-effective way of doing it, but it is something that is legal. Albeit one could make an action based on the U.S. Economy Act, based on the cost of that and whether it's the most cost-effective. And that would be one that would actually be based on need. So that would actually support it. But I didn't see where this judge had actually really rested much on the U.S. Economy Act. I'll go back and check that later, but I didn't see anything in there that jumped out to me on that. Yes, they can use federal troops. Now, if they use federal troops to protect federal personnel, doing ICE personnel, for example, ICE agents doing immigration enforcement, that should be legal too. Although you saw in California that
yeah, it should be legal, but of course, Oregon over there, you can see how that judge was already on some rogue shit. Guess what? It always falls down to politics, and it's funny because we're supposed to have these judges that are supposed to be impartial to politics, not really take politics as any type of way that they rule. But unfortunately, as we see, they all have their own narrative, bro, and it's a terrible thing. It's one of those flawed systems for damn sure, and we've allowed it to get to this point. When it was originally sold and supposed to be, and even still to this day, you will not allow, politics to rule in your judgments and all this shit, but they're all capping, bro. By the way, we got Wicked Wally in the building. Always appreciate my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning so far. Great to see you in the chat. Also, Naomi, do me a favor. Can you drop Wicked Wally's YouTube channel? He's a great YouTuber as well. So make sure you guys subscribe up to him as well.
Federal judge ruled that they were violating posse comitatus and the way they're doing that. Again, I've already said before, I think the Ninth Circuit Court is going to probably reverse that decision based on that ruling, but that is yet to be seen. And that only applied to the California situation. So we'll see how this kind of rolls out in the courts. But some of the things that these individual federal court judges are saying, I don't think will make it, through the circuit court review or appellate process. And I would be very surprised if the Supreme Court would agree with some of these.
Thank you for that, Naomi. I appreciate that.
Rulings and some of the thinking by these federal court judges.
Thank you, SNS.
So if President Trump can deploy California's troops to...
Yeah, Bill Castle, a lot of the guys like me, Glare, that he's asking you for your Instagram, definitely if you do have an Instagram, make sure you figure out what account it is, because you said, I think so. But yeah, definitely drop your, whatever your tag is. Like mine is at Ball Valve TV, for instance. You should put yours in the chat, and then Blair can reach out to you and have a conversation and stuff like that. And same with me and stuff. Anyways.
Oregon, can you send any state's troops to any state?
Interestingly say that. Yeah, they're federal. Once they're federal, which means they can go anywhere, literally in the
You got to let us know what it is. Otherwise, we won't be able to find you, Bill. Like, we'll direct message you, but we got to know where.
world. They can go anywhere. They're federal troops. You send them to any U.S. state, any U.S. territory. You can send them to any foreign country around the world. They are federal troops. That's and that's something that these these governors seem to be having a difficult time grasping. They are paid for. They go to when they go to boot camp, they go to a U.S. Army boot camp. All right, they are federally recognized troops, and or unless they go to an Air Force boot camp, I should mention. But they are federally recognized troops, and the federal government pays for their facilities. It pays for their planes, their tanks, their weapons, all the stuff that supports them for their training and readiness, preparedness to perform that federal mission. That is all federal stuff. And in exchange for that, they are part of the reserve component of the federal military, of the federal government. They are.
All right. So I think we understand what's happening here. We're going to see this get overturned, of course, but it's part of my duty to go ahead and let you guys know what is happening, what's the facts of the ordeals, and there we go. And so we're going to follow that. Of course, we're going to see when it goes into appeals and then it gets appealed. Next, we're moving back into an international lens here. War in Gaza. Trump says first phase of peace deal should be completed by this week. His words. So let's go ahead and bring this up. Let's go ahead and discuss it a little bit and get right to this. Let's bring the volume up as well because everything's been really low. And this is really short. This is a really short segment here.
All right, welcome back in Alive Now. I'm Austin Westfall. A live look at Gaza, early morning hours there, Israel Standard Time, 1:30 in the morning.
I appreciate you, man.
We do continue to follow tabs on the ongoing discussions taking place in Cairo. We understand that there are mediators, there's U.S. officials, and we're starting to hear the first little bits of context coming out of those meetings. President Trump posting on Truth Social moments ago that there have been very positive discussions with him.
Now this is just came out yesterday evening, and I actually didn't even see this tweet right here. So I'm glad that I'm presenting this now, because a lot of the times I'm watching shit that I knew that the headline what had happened, but to get the actual context, you have to be able to watch these videos to get the context, obviously. So he says, there have been very positive discussions with Hamas and countries from all over the world, Arab, Muslim, and everyone else this weekend to release the hostages and the war in Gaza, but more importantly, finally have long sought peace in the Middle East. These talks have been very successful and proceeding rapidly. The technical teams will again meet Monday in Egypt, which is today, to work through and clarify the final details. I am told that the first phase should be completed this week, and I am asking everyone to move fast. I will continue to monitor this centuries-old conflict. Time is of the essence, or massive bloodshed will follow. Something that, and then he continues. I'm not sure what he says there. Let me see if I can get any more context.
First phase should be completed this week, and I am asking everyone to move fast. I will continue to monitor this centuries-old conflict. Time is of the essence, or massive bloodshed will follow.
You know, I have heard that a million times, Rabbit of Chaos. I have actually been told this, and every time that I go to the exact place in YouTube that allows you to be able to gift memberships, I don't have the option. As a creator, I don't know why. Most creators got that option. Every single time I try to do it, I don't have it. So I remember Naomi even told me, she's like, hey, you got like 10 free to give out each month or whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't. Watch. And then I showed that I don't have any option. So I don't know if I got left out of the equation there or something, but yeah, I hope that, I hope that clarifies what's happening.
Something that nobody wants to see, President Trump says.
Go fast, my man.
Just got
Good morning.
that in from the Rapid Response 47 account. A live look at the White House. The
There you
time
go.
right now on the East Coast, just past 6.
So type that in, Bill Castle, on your search bar in Instagram. If you type that, what Glaire's thing is, it'll bring you over to his page.
30, and we have seen some blasts in real time as we've been following this live camera. It's planted in southern Israel overlooking the Gaza skyline. So that's the latest we're hearing from President Trump. We'll, of course, be following in the coming hours to see if the Israeli government says anything. And, of course, we'll be listening to see if Hamas agrees to a path forward toward peace. A live look at the U.S.
All right, so we're moving on into the next regarding the negotiators, by the way, talking about how they're meeting in Egypt today. Now, this is from yesterday, by the way, that we're going to present. Negotiators meet in Egypt to discuss Gaza hostages and end to the war. So we're going to bring that up. It's a little lengthy, but we're not going to watch the whole thing because we still have a lot to get through, and we're already at almost 36 minutes already. So as you guys know, I try to condense everything down into a single hour. So after this, we're going to be talking about Trump regarding Hamas. As of 3 hours ago, Hamas could face complete obliteration if it clings to power. That was this morning. And then Trump speaks to reporters, and then Supreme Court rejects appeal from Maxwell. So this is our lineup. Just wanted to let you guys know where we're at. Let's bring up the volume 2. There we go.
Okay, welcome back in Alive Now. I'm Austin Westfall, a live look at Gaza. This camera planted in southern Israel, looking over the Gaza skyline. About 52 minutes past midnight, Israel Standard Time. Let's get the latest on the Middle East with Hal Kemper. He's a retired Marine intelligence officer and the host of the Scrap podcast.
He's been used all night long. You know what I mean? Shit.
He's still standing by with me here. Firstly, let's clarify something for the audience, Hal. There were earlier reports saying that the IDF was moving to a defensive position in Gaza, but I was reading in The Guardian that there continues to be strikes in Gaza. They say that
if we're missing some likes, man, can we make sure we hit the like button? I very much appreciate it. You guys don't have to like the craziness around the world, but you guys can like it for me and my takes and what we do on this channel, man. So I very much appreciate that.
The IDF has continued to strike Palestinian territory, killing 63 people in the last 24 hours. Have you heard the same?
I have, and I'd like to get greater granularity, if you will, or a greater look at what exactly that is. And really what I mean is, what was the tactical circumstance where they did that? One of the things that even in a defensive position, you may, gather intelligence, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. You got reporting that comes in that may show that during this time that Hamas is trying to position forces to do some sort of attack or whatever. And that would warrant a strike mission if that was the case. If it's something where Hamas was using this as an opportunity to strike the IDF or to cause harm to civilians or do something.
Man, I'm sorry. While I was talking, I missed a few comments up here, man. We got a Grillopus in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning as well. As Hardwire in the building. Always appreciate you as well. Good morning. And we got Fester, my man over there in Washington State as well, saying good morning, BV and the Breakfast Club. Y'all have a great day. Stay blessed. Hopefully you have a blessed day as well. Always appreciate you,
Something
man.
else.
Great to see you.
That would probably warrant what Israel's doing. One thing I should mention is this is not part of a ceasefire. This was a wholly Israeli decision, based on what President Trump asked them to do to stop strike missions. So when they do this, really the only...
You know what? Because we just started this segment, fuck.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
Shit. That's right. A Grillopus knows exactly what time we're on. Shit.
Only person they have to explain this to, or the only country they have to explain this to, is the United States. And we have a very close relationship with Israel, and I'm sure that within that they have probably established some, rules of engagement, or in this case, it'd be more of a informal rules of engagement and what that defensive posture would look like, and they would explain to their U.S. counterparts, who would then pass that on up eventually to the President of the United States to explain what that is. And that's kind of what it is. But there is no ceasefire going on there. There's no ceasefire.
No, there is no ceasefire yet until shit is signed. Nothing's been signed. We're getting to agreements here, which is fantastic to allow people to get to the point of signing.
Fire agreement. What you have right now is just Israel has said we're not going to continue offensive operations.
Right. But they will absolutely still get down if you do any type of, threatening activity. They're going to get down on your motherfucking ass. Don't think that they won't. We've got a Grillopus coming in. Holy shit. Dropping 5. Bro. making that shit rain in the building, man. I very much appreciate you. Thank you so much for the 5 gift. That's humongous, bro. That is definitely humongous. Thank you for that.
That's a that's a unilateral thing on their part, which is not something where Hamas can really say much about it. I'm sure they will, but they really can't say anything about it.
Egypt is going to be the next place that we're really looking ahead to. Negotiators are arriving in Egypt for talks on Monday, expected to focus on the release of hostages held by Hamas, and then eventually a broader end to the war. The Egyptian Foreign Ministry says that Monday's talks are focusing on the first phase of President Trump's plan to end the war in Gaza. What does the first phase entail? Hal, we just saw a live blast on TV, by the way.
Yeah, I just saw that blast as well. In fact, I just saw another one.
Yep.
Things may be heating up out there. There may be more going on. One of the things is, first off, I just want to point out as a backdrop.
Whoa, you see that right there? It was popping off right there. If you guys didn't see that in the left side of the corner. And this is a live look when they're popping this up on the screen. They're actually bringing this up live. Let's go ahead and bring that. Why won't it bring 318? Let me go ahead and bring it there.
One of the things is, first off, I just
boom. Did you see that? That was either a miss, some sort of interception, or maybe there was a strike. Man, it's kind of going off all the time over there.
I'll point out as a backdrop that you remember President Trump said Sunday to accept it. Well, I will say this: they're playing for time now. Now talk about these talks will go Monday. The U.S. appears to be
what's good, Papa Penguin, my man? Good morning to you, kind sir.
letting them go into Monday, recognizing that there's a heck of a lot of details that got to get worked out on this thing, to include phase 1. Phase 1 is really about 2 things. Number 1, release of hostages, which includes not just the live hostages, but the remains of those who have deceased. And then the second one is Israel.
And no, they don't have to be present to win, Pablo. The way that it works on YouTube is it does a random lottery system on whoever's accepted, first of all, to accept memberships. You have to go into your chat on your fucking account or whatever. And I think you have to do that on a PC. I don't think you can do that on your phone. And you have to go down into the, cogwheel or whatever. And then there's an option to accept gifted memberships. And if you do that for me, for instance, now you're accepting gifted memberships across any YouTube channel that you're subscribed to. So it's a lottery system of people that are in your subscriber list, but also have gifted members on, just so you know. Anyways.
Pulling back to really that first line, and they have lines on the map literally of how far they will pull back. When it pulls back, out of a lot of Gaza City and some other areas, as far as that goes. That's really, I think, all they're planning on accomplishing in phase 1. But then, of course, the other part would be they got to look at disarming Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad and any other groups aligned with them. They have to do that. And then, of course, in follow-on phases, they got to figure out how they transition this to some sort of peacekeeping force, which could be an Arab peacekeeping force. And once you create, what this will do is it'll kind of create, once Hamas has stepped aside, and you're already starting to see this in large parts of Gaza, it creates a vacuum of leadership or a vacuum.
Of course. And we all know what happens when there is a vacuum. It's going to be filled, of course.
Of governance. So they really have to work out what is going to step in and govern. And
right. And something has to come in, whether it be like the Palestinian Authority, whatever all that is. But nonetheless, I believe Netanyahu came out and said the Palestinian Authority will not be running Gaza. So I'm not too sure who's actually going to be kind of put in place of like power for temporary. I'm not sure how that's going to completely work here, but we are going to move ahead a little bit here because we got some movement. I want to see what is on this camera here, if anything.
I'm hearing that we're seeing the people that were a part of that flotilla. They're returning home after their efforts. The camera's not on some of the I believe there are some demonstrators here that are a part of this media scrum, if you will. The reason why I show this, Hal, is because I want to ask the question that might be on some people's mind relating to this flotilla. Did it have any tangible impact whatsoever on Gaza?
Zero. Nothing. It didn't get anything in there. And here's the thing. Gaza is an occupied zone. All right. That is, I mean, look, it's not a sovereign state. It doesn't have.
No, it's occupied by Israel right now.
Internationally recognized status, although some countries said they recognize a Palestinian state. There is no geographic Palestinian state. There is no sovereign state or sovereign national government in the Gaza Strip or anything like that. So it's from an international standpoint, it's Israeli-controlled territory or Israeli controlled territory around, at least around its perimeter. It's always been, and that includes the oceans around it. That is part of the Israel's. sovereign territorial waters as part of Israel's exclusive economic zone. And so when they were going in there, they were going into an area that was controlled by Israel and going up against a lawful naval blockade of that sea space. And they went right into it, and they accomplished nothing. All they did was they got stopped again.
Yeah, no kidding.
And the Israelis boarded the vessels, detained the people that were on the ships, and then the ships were taken off to an Israeli port. They were told to change their course to go to the Israeli port. Of course, that took a little bit more than just
you're not gonna. You got to force them motherfuckers to do it.
telling them to do that to get it up there. But Israel didn't really mess around with it. They brought them in. I think they processed them and said, "Go back to where you came from." And it really was one of those things where almost like protests in the U.S., where they protest so they can get arrested, and then they, it's just basically making a statement.
Protest so you can get arrested, and now you're on the, now you're propaganda for your movement, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we're moving on into the next ordeal. Trump says Hamas could face complete obliteration if it clings to power. So let's go ahead and bring that up and present that for you guys here live. And 3, 2, 1, bam. Now, this is only 3 hours ago, just for context. This is only 3 hours ago.
Another major headline that we are following as I transition now to this live image that we have over in Gaza is the fact that Israel and Hamas going to be meeting in Egypt today for negotiations. The Associated Press saying that Israel, Hamas preparing for those indirect negotiations in Egypt as hope for a possible ceasefire in Gaza grew after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said a hostage release could be announced this week. Tomorrow, so on Tuesday, it does mark 2 years since the Hamas attack that sparked the war. President Trump has welcomed the Hamas statement, accepting some elements of the U.S. peace plan. Now, Israel said it supported the new U.S. effort. Under the plan, Hamas would release the remaining 48 hostages, about 20 believed to be alive, within 3 days. It would give them power and also disarm. Joining us now to talk more about this.
Man, if they really do release all these hostages, that's going to be an amazing day for everybody, for everyone. When they hand over those hostages, it's going to be great.
Is Jonathan Schanzer. He is the executive director with the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning.
So it's been a very important last few days when we talk about these negotiations to hopefully put a stop to this war, get the hostages back, and get to that ceasefire agreement. Heading into Egypt today, what are some of the challenges that both sides are facing?
Well, first of all, it's indirect talk. So they're not actually speaking to each other. They're going to be speaking through middlemen, primarily the United States and perhaps Egypt.
See, and I originally thought Qatar was going to be that original middleman, but I guess Egypt is now this heavy involved.
I think it's also interesting to note that the leader of the Hamas delegation is a guy by the name of Khalil al-Hayya. He was one of the primary targets on September 9th when the Israelis struck a Hamas apartment in downtown Doha in Qatar. His son was actually killed in that attack. He survived. And now his task is to come to Egypt to try to negotiate a deal that he didn't come up with, but that he is now being forced to accept effectively by the Qatari leadership. They are, of course, financial patrons of Hamas, and they have, I think, now gotten their orders from President Donald
Be good out there, Brother Frank. We always appreciate you. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Monday morning.
Trump. It took a long time, longer than I would have expected for Trump or even Biden to lose patience with the Qataris.
My man.
So they're now feeling the squeeze. The Qataris did get one thing out of all of this. They got some security guarantees from the United States about potential future attacks inside their borders. But they're certainly feeling right now that they need to hustle and scramble to get Hamas over the finish line. What's unclear to me right now is whether Hamas will answer to the Qataris or whether they're more beholden to the Iranians, who have been also funding and training and arming them over the years. So a lot of drama right now as Hamas is being.
Now, truthfully, this is my prediction. While everything is kind of getting weak, as soon as this comes into effect, and I truly believe this, and Israel gets their hostages back, and this kind of is getting settled a little bit, I totally believe that Israel is going to attack Iran again. Just my prediction, and I'm thinking within the next 3-4 months. Because think about it. The axis of resistance is extremely fucking weak right now. I mean, all the way from Iran that just got fucked up by Israel and the United States. Then you have Syria, Iraq. I mean, Iraq is still a little bit in play, but they're if anything happens, they know they're going to get their fucking ass handed to them. Then you got Yemen. You've got all these different places, Hamas, Lebanon, all this shit, right? They're all weak as fuck. And the main contributor to all this has been Iran, and actually as well as Russia. Russia pays for a lot of this shit indirectly with Iran. Russia buys all their drones essentially from fucking Iran, you know? The way that kind of chain works. But nonetheless, I look at this and go, okay, now that this axis of resistance is getting weaker and weaker, they're waiting for a perfect moment to just go ahead and kind of obliterate Iran. So I think that's going to happen. And I'm not wishing it or anything. This is just as a political analyst, I like to be able to predict and let you guys know. And we'll see if the future holds that I was right or wrong. You know, doesn't matter.
Being asked effectively to end its rule in the Gaza Strip, hand over all of its weapons, hand over its last remaining leverage, which is, of course, those 48 hostages, and essentially evaporate from the Gaza Strip. The fact that this is all being put on the table, these are...
Oh, wow, we got 40 likes and we got 30 in the chat, man. You guys are legends. Yes, thank you guys very much for hitting that like button. It's I know it's a very laborious thing to do, but if you guys can hit that like button for me, it just means the world to me.
Are Israeli demands, they're now American demands, and they now even appear to be Qatari demands. So this is a reversal of fortune for Hamas. It'll be very interesting to see what Khalil al-Hayya says today in Cairo.
And I do want to break down maybe the other side of this as well, only because it gives us a picture and an understanding of really where each side kind of stands with this and how they can get to that compromise. But when we talk about Hamas, so we have really detailed what Israel wants. So these demands have been talked about really since this war began. But in terms of Hamas and the fact that we still don't know if they're going to...
Yo, we got Bob from Biker News Canada in the building. Always appreciate you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Monday morning so far, kind sir.
To agree entirely. What is the holdup really? And when we talk about the negotiations today in Egypt, how do they compare to the several negotiations that have already been proposed and those deals that have been proposed in the past?
Well, I think, a couple of big differences right now. I mean, one is that there is a deal that's being put on the table where Donald Trump is essentially warning that Hamas could be obliterated. I mean, this is literally what the president is now telling reporters here in the United States and elsewhere around the world, that Hamas risks everything at this moment. Hamas is still asking for Israel to withdraw to certain lines within the Gaza Strip, although it does appear that the Israelis are intent upon staying within Gaza, just a little bit further back from the center of...
Right. Well, we kind of understand exactly where their lines are and what is to be agreed upon here. We actually have it still. I still have the whole outline right here. How they originally, the IDF current line of control, and then what they're talking about bringing it back essentially to the orange line, actually, kind of is where they were talking about this. And then, of course, the entire 20-point plan, which is there. And anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on into the next ordeal, though. We do have Trump speaking outside of the White House. Let's go ahead and bring that up. This was this morning. And 3, 2, 1, boom. This was 3 hours ago. Let's go ahead and see if we can hear anything, because usually these are loud outside. Of course. Damn it. Yeah, I can't even hear shit. Let's see if they can tune in.
I get to see it in action, so we're going to have a very big day today. It's going to be very exciting.
Jesus. They're just screaming over the top of each other, and we can't hear a single fucking word. Can they give the microphone over to Trump or something like that? Jesus Christ. So they're asking about the Gaza peace plan here.
It's a great deal for everybody, and you want to get your hostages back, right? You want them back or do you not want them back? And it's a great deal for Israel. It's a great deal for the entire...
He says it's a great deal for Israel.
Arab world.
It's a great deal for the entire Arab world.
So we're very happy about it.
He said we're very happy about it. All right, there's no real reason to continue on that because we can't hear shit, and I'm not going to force you guys to hear something that you guys can barely fucking hear. But we are going to move into our last ordeal here for the morning because we are coming up to our hour mark. But this will be our last story. Well, actually, let me double check that fact. Let me make sure there hasn't been an update. There is an update. Oh, shit. So Speaker Johnson speaks amid the government shutdown. So let's go ahead and bring this particular story. I'm gonna hold that for a sec. We're still going to be presenting this first, which is Supreme Court rejects the appeal from Maxwell. So let's go ahead and figure that out real quick, and then we'll hear what Johnson's got to say. And we're not going to listen to him on his, questions, taking questions. We're going to hear the monologue and pretty much leave it at that.
We have some breaking news to get to on this Monday. Take a look at your screen. The Associated Press saying this, breaking. The Supreme Court rejects an appeal from Ghislaine Maxwell, the imprisoned former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein. Going to put up here some footage of Ghislaine Maxwell as I read more of the copy courtesy of the AP. They say this, the Supreme Court on Monday rejected an appeal from Ghislaine Maxwell, the imprisoned former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein. On the first day of their new term, the justices declined to take up a case that would have drawn renewed attention to the sordid sexual abuse saga after President Trump's administration sought to tamp down criticism over its refusal to publicly release more investigative files from Epstein's case.
What's up, Mark C? Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far. Great to see you in the chat, by the way.
For Maxwell, a British socialite, argued that she never should have been tried or convicted for her role in luring teenage girls to be sexually abused by
Carney's Ride, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning as well.
Epstein, a New York financier. She is serving a 20-year prison term, though she was moved from a low-security federal prison in Florida.
Yeah, well, I'll do a little segment for you, Steve.
To a minimum security prison camp in Texas after she was interviewed in July by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. As is their custom, the justices did not explain why they turned away the appeal. President Trump's Republican administration had urged the high court to stay out of the case. Maxwell's lawyers contended that a non-prosecution agreement reached in 2007 by federal prosecutors in Miami, and Epstein's lawyers also protected his...
Okay, we don't need the whole story here, but you guys see here, the Supreme Court rejected the appeal. All right, so you guys know the deal on that. Let's go ahead and bring up our last story of the day. This is the last and final. Let me go ahead and bring this up so that you guys see what is going on. This is only about 40 minutes ago. All right, here we go.
Let's reiterate the simple truths of how we got here. Those truths have been obscured just a bit because the Democrats are in a relentless effort to spin the facts. But it's always good when the facts and the evidence are on your side. And I don't want you to listen to the arguments of politicians.
You too, Biker Babe.
If you're watching at home, I want you to look at the real facts. And I'm going to try to here in a very abbreviated summary manner to present those to you. And the facts are very clear. Okay, so the first fact is by way of reminder, how did we get here? Why is Washington tied into a knot right now? Well, I became Speaker almost 2 years ago, and I was frustrated, as most rank-and-file members of Congress are, frustrated about how Congress really doesn't work that well for the American people. That's why people are frustrated about it. We don't spend money responsibly here. We haven't for many years. And the reason for that is because typically, for the annual funding of the government, it's done in a back room. Literally, there's a deal made by the top 4 leaders in Congress, and that's hoisted upon the members, usually at the end of the year, right before a holiday.
Damn, he's kind of exposing internal politics right now.
In an omnibus spending bill. Sometimes the bills are thousands of pages long, and it's always said that few members have fully read it or understood it. That's largely true because they weren't involved in the process. So when I became Speaker, I've been doggedly determined to make this House and the Senate work again, to do right by the American people, to get the process, to rebuild the muscle memory, to get back to the way it is supposed to work. And what does that mean? It means that Congress is supposed to carefully deliberate over 12 separate appropriations bills every year. Why? Because we divide the spending of the taxpayers' funds into 12 categories so that everybody can go through that. And all the elected members, the duly elected representatives of the people, can come here and have a debate and a discussion. We do that through the Appropriations Committee, they're the specialists on it, the members of the House and Senate who work on it around the clock, 365, every day of the year. And then they put together a product. It goes to the full body in the House and then the full body in the Senate, and they work on that together, and they come up with the most efficient and effective way that they can build consensus around to spend the taxpayers' funds. Well, we started that process back this year, and I'm so proud to tell you that we're rebuilding the muscle memory. It's like pushing a boulder uphill, but we've got it done. And we worked 12 separate appropriations bills through the House Appropriations Committee. I mean, they worked hard in a bipartisan fashion, Republicans and Democrats. They worked on it steadily. We got 3 of those bills on the floor. We debated them on the floor. We passed them on the House floor. And we sent that over to the Senate. Meanwhile, the Senate passed 3 of their own bills off the floor. That hasn't happened around here in many years. And all of that process that I just described takes a lot of time and a lot of work and energy and effort. And our appropriators, while they were working in good faith, they ran out of time. Why? Because the end of the fiscal year is September 30th, not December 31. And so the clock was just running out. So what we did, because Republicans are in charge of both houses right now, is the responsible thing. Leader Thune in the Senate and I in the House, we sat down with our appropriators and we said, let's come up with a simple stopgap measure to keep the lights on and keep the government open so that appropriators can finish this very healthy process for the people they represent. And so we put together a very simple, clean, continuing resolution. Why do we say it's clean? Because there's nothing to it. It's 24 pages. It's the bare minimum. It just says, keep the status quo, which, by the way, for all my Democrat friends, is the Biden-era policies and spending that we haven't been able to fix yet. We're in the process of getting appropriations done to repair all that, but we needed more time to do it. So in a bipartisan fashion, Democrats and Republicans got together and said, you know what? Fine, let's extend this until November 21st. The Democrats in the House agreed to that. That was the date. We put that bill on the floor. We passed it out of the House in bipartisan fashion.
Right, but now the Democrats voted for that on the House, but not the Democrats in the Senate, right? That's where he's going to go.
And we sent it over to the Senate. Well, now we expected, I thought, that Chuck Schumer would do what he's always done. The man has served in Congress 3/4 of my life, I think. And he has given impassioned speeches over the year, most recently in March of this year, that you have to fund continuing resolutions. You can't shut the government down because it's irresponsible and painful for the American people. He was right in March. He is not right today, which leads me to fact number 2. Fact number 1 was how we got here. Fact number 2 is why are we in this mess? Why did Chuck Schumer change his tune? And why is he now saying exactly?
Because he got totally fucking brainwashed by the radical left.
The opposite of what he said 6 months ago. A picture's worth 10,000.
May have gotten, maybe even bought and paid for to take that position.
1,000 words, okay? This is a copy of the Washington Examiner. Zoom in on that, all right? If you can't see this at home, I just had this on my desk in a big stack, and I found it. This is published March of 2025, March 26 exactly. It's a picture of Chuck Schumer looking very upset, very angry, walking out with a box, and all the House Democrats depicted their character, saying that he's an enemy of democracy. Why is he an enemy of democracy? Because the far left base in the Democrat Party has turned on Chuck Schumer because he did the responsible thing, get the lights on. Why? Because they want him to show a fight against President Trump. So Schumer doesn't want to be in this situation again. So he said, my gosh, he got his staff together and he got the far left wing of the party. He said, what do you want? What do you want me to fight on? So they created a red herring. A red herring is a distraction. They decided that they would pick a fight on health care. Well, let me look right into the camera and tell you very clearly. Republicans are the ones concerned about health care. Republicans are the party working around the clock every day to fix health care. This is not talking points for us. We've done it. A big part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, was to fix health care. Health care is broken in America. It's too expensive. The quality of care needs to rise. We need more access for more people, and we have lots of ideas to do that. But that issue is for debate in the next 3 months. It always was. We have members working on that. The tax credit, the subsidy you've heard about that expires December 31st, there's a lot of thoughtful debate and discussion that has already been going on about that and will go on about that. But that's a December 31 issue. So Chuck Schumer is scrambling. He has to have an issue. None of their policies are very popular. So they decided to lob onto health care. And he decided to claim to all of you that that is the issue with government funding. It is not. Those are two totally separate things. The clean continuing resolution would simply keep the lights on so that the members in the House and Senate can have those debates on health care. We were always planning, and we have lots of ideas on the table on how to fix it, but we don't yet have consensus on it because it's very complicated. We have time to do it. The month of October is a critically important time for us to get the House and Senate working on that very issue, but they're delaying it because they needed a red herring. So in his desperation, we get to fact number 3. In his desperation, they decided to create the red herring. They decided to claim that this is all about health care, which the September funding issue never was. That's a December policy issue. He tried to create it as a September funding issue. And in his desperation, they hastily filed an outrageous counter proposal. It is a wild wish list.
What's up, Rob's neighbor? Hopefully you're enjoying the morning as well. Great to see you.
Big government liberal nonsense that we can't do. Their priorities that they crammed into this. Now remember, a simple 7-week stopgap funding measure, the CR, that we passed out of the House in bipartisan fashion was sent over. And Chuck Schumer filed a counterproposal. Now this is his words, not mine. These are not Republican talking points. These are the facts. 2 exhibits real quick, as I've shown you before. This is page 57, an excerpt of his bill, section 2141, where you see that right there that they want to repeal the health subtitle of the big, beautiful bill. The one big, beautiful bill, the Republicans got signed into law July 4th. The working families tax cut, we're so proud of that because it has so many amazing things for all the American people, a marquee piece of legislation. But among the most important were the reforms that we did to healthcare. Why? Because Medicaid, for example, is broken. Medicaid doesn't work well.
He's very right about that.
Underfunded, and it was full of fraud, waste, and abuse. And we took our opportunity to fix it.
It was abused by a whole lot of people, not just illegal people. It wasn't just that. Everybody was exploiting the system.
And we did. So what did we do? We went into Medicaid and we said, we got to stop the waste and abuse. We got to make sure that...
And I mean everyone, not as in literally, okay, yes, of course, probably majority of them actually really do need it. But that it was abused, and it was anything that is given away by the government is going to be abused hardcore. People are going to play up the bit so they can get paid or have coverage or whatever the case is. It's just the way of life, man.
Illegal aliens are not on Medicaid. Medicaid is intended for U.S. citizens.
Correct.
Only, not illegals who break our law and come over the border. And we've got to make sure that young, able-bodied men who do not have dependents are working and not riding the wagon.
Correct.
Work is good.
Yes, I agree with this point.
For individuals, it's good for the communities they live in. It's good for their own well-being and for the people around them. And so we said, don't sit on your...
Exactly, get some, you know what I mean? Do you know how hard it was for me to get accepted and approved to get Medicare or whatever? Medicaid, no, it's Medicare. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, it took me 4.5 years to get accepted. And I'm someone that actually needed it and still needs it, you know? Unfortunately, people that have abused the system made it so fucking difficult for someone like me who is legitimate. I almost went fucking homeless. Swear to God. I mean, I was facing moving to Alabama or living under a fucking bridge in LA, you know? So it's kind of ridiculous how fucked up people are. They'll take advantage of these kind of situations. And then it hurts people that really do need it.
Couch and play video games. By the way, also not a talking point. It was an AEI study. I think one of the organizations that
What's up,
pulled
Pitbull?
this.
My man.
And most
good morning.
of these young men
or
who
good
are not
afternoon.
working are sitting around literally playing video games. Get back to work. So we put that in the law. And the big thing was making sure that an estimated 1.4 million illegal aliens are no longer riding that wagon either. Why?
Wow, 1.4 million illegal aliens are no longer riding that wagon, he said.
Because Medicaid had to be strengthened. Medicaid is intended for the elderly, the disabled, and young pregnant women, as I use an example, who are in difficult situations. They need the resources desperately, but the resources are being drained by people who were never intended to be there. So Republicans.
Yep, 100%. Single white guy. Yeah, I was definitely not the demographic, and I got denied a million times. I mean, it was a humongous. I mean, dude, I still, when I tell the story to people, I'm like, dude, I could write a fucking book. I mean, it was a full-time job, Monday through Friday, calling every day, bro. I mean, it was a fucking job, and I turned it into my job. And that sucks that anybody has to do that. Imagine if someone actually was like somewhat half retarded. You know what I mean? They couldn't fucking go through the hoops that I jumped to get what I got. There was no way. No way.
Republicans got busy and fixed it. We put it in the big, beautiful bill. So, back to fact number 3, I guess I'm still on. Chuck Schumer files a counterproposal and says, we want to reverse all that. Well, among the effects, among the things that he would reverse is putting illegal aliens back on the program. Don't take my word for it. Look at the evidence. Over here at Exhibit B.
Yeah, get some. I did have an attorney for 3.5 years. For 3.5 years, I had a full-on attorney doing the whole thing. Yeah, it was crazy, bro.
This is the list.
Not so easy.
The actual provisions that would be reversed if Chuck Schumer's language was voted on and passed. Among those, it would end. See, these are the provisions, the Working Families Tax Cut Act. These are the provisions of our bill that did each of these things. We ended Medicaid funding for most non-citizens. They would reverse that, and it would cost American taxpayers, hardworking Americans, an estimated $6.2 billion. And you see, you just go down the list. The California loophole. You know what they did in California? Gavin Newsom and the team out in California? They expanded Medicaid to cover all able-bodied illegal alien adults. These men who could be working or whatever. I mean, they're not even citizens, never intended by Congress. They put that on the tab of the taxpayer. And so we reversed it. Chuck Schumer would repeal that. He would repeal those repairs, and this is what it would cost you. Do the math. I won't go through each line, but it's on the website, speaker.gov. You can pull this up. It amounts to $192 billion, $192.8 billion. So almost $200 billion that Chuck Schumer wants to put back in. Also, by the way, while he's repealing our health subtitle, he would also repeal the $50 billion that Republicans put into the bill to support our rural hospitals around the country. Why would Chuck Schumer do that? Because he's desperate for political cover. Let me keep going on this. By the way, these are enhanced COVID-era spending under Joe Biden for all this healthcare stuff. It was stolen, fraud, waste, and abuse, rife throughout the programs, and we fixed it, and they want to reverse that. By the way, this has always been what the Democrats wanted to do. You all remember, I know, the 2020 presidential election. We've all seen the video over the last week or so, where they asked every single candidate for the Democrat nomination on the stage running for president, is it your intention to give health care to illegal aliens who come into the country? Every single one of them raised their hands, including Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and that explains a lot of this. All right. That's the facts. And I went on all the shows. I've been on all the programs, as many as I can, to just lay this out. And on some of these programs have been followed by Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries back and forth. Not one time have they been able to refute what they themselves put in writing. I hope that you will ask them about this. I hope that you will ask them, if it is indeed not your intention, why did you say that? Why did you do that? This is a key part of what they put into their counterproposal, which, by the way, amounts to
anything that they actually do is their actual intention. You know, fuck what they say, watch what they do.
$1.5 trillion in new spending that they want to strap onto a 7-week, simple, 24-page stopgap measure to keep the lights on so we can do our work. Fact number 5, don't ask me, because here's the answer. Why aren't you negotiating? There's nothing for us to negotiate. The House has done its job. The House Republicans
Much love, Naomi. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your Monday as well.
Right now are working hard in their districts all around the country. They're meeting their constituents' needs. They're going and explaining and providing the answers, and they're trying to help them navigate through this madness.
That's terrible, Pitbull.
Some of our Republican colleagues, we had a big conference call on Saturday. Many of them are working throughout. They're making trips to all their rural hospitals in their district to help them navigate and access this fund that Chuck Schumer is trying to take away. Republicans are on the job. We want to improve healthcare. We have ideas and plans to do that, to fix the...
Damn, that's terrible, Gunpowder Nitro. That's terrible. Terrible position, not only for her to be in, but for you to be in, you know, and people ruined it for people that like me and you that actually needed it, for instance. Unfortunately, you know, meaning your mother, it really is a fucked up, flawed system, and it definitely needs to be reformed nonetheless. Something ain't right, right? And so getting these people, we're talking almost 2 million people off of Medicaid, which was being 100% exploited. And it's already being exploited enough, but at least if it's going to be exploited, it needs to be exploited by Americans and not other motherfuckers that aren't from here. I don't know. I'm very just U.S. minded, I guess, to our people. I'm biased to us. And as you should be. You should be biased to your people. You should be biased to your nation, I think.
The COVID level madness and adjust Obamacare so that it works for more people, so you have higher access to care and the costs are reduced. And so they're doing that right now, but there's nothing for us to negotiate or to debate right now, because the House already did that. The House did its job. We passed our bill. We did the job to keep the government open, and now it's on the Senate Democrats. And that's the final fact, and I'll take your questions. Fact number 6, hold on, wait.
Yeah, everyone's like, hold on, I want to get out my question in first. He's on his last point, and then we're not going to listen to his questions. We're only going to listen to this last point.
It's just
and make sure you guys stick around, because we're going to be rating our buddy Flow State. His channel name is Powder Dusty. So make sure you guys go in there and let him know that we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid when we do this. So anyways.
The ball, I have to finish my case. Here's my closing argument, okay? The ball is in the court of the Senate Democrats.
Yes, correct.
There's only a handful of people in the country who can solve this problem. There's 47 Democrats. Well, 46 and one who caucuses as independent, I think. I lose track. But there's about 47 of them that caucus together as Democrats, okay? Here's the problem, remembering from civics. We don't have enough Republican votes to fix this, because it takes 60 votes in the Senate to break this impasse, to open the government. There's only 53 Republicans in the Senate. We need some Democrats to be thoughtful and responsible and do the right thing. Because why? Because real people are being hurt in all these political games. As Chuck Schumer is trying to cover himself and not have another series of articles like this, okay? That's why this is happening. There's a trend in New York that Chuck Schumer represents of electing Marxists. They're about to elect an actual Marxist as the mayor of New York City, the once cradle of capitalism, the largest city in America. It's stunning.
No, I get full coverage. I do know what you're talking about regarding partial coverage of life insurance. It's partial coverage of life insurance. So if I would have lost a leg and an arm, that is your full payout, essentially. But you only get half if, for instance, I lost a body part, so you get half of it or something like that. So that's how the partial coverage of that works.
I think it's stunning to Chuck Schumer, too, because while he's a far-left politician, he's not nearly as far-left as these guys, as they want him to be. And so he's trying to find political cover. And in doing that, he's hurting real American people. Who's being hurt? Women, infants, and children on their nutritional programs that are now stalled. Veterans' health services that they desperately need and demand. Go down the list. We've got our troops, Border Patrol agents, TSA agents serving, trying to protect America without pay right now. Half the federal civilian workforce is effectively laid off right now, furloughed. They can't go to work. They don't have the money. Chuck Schumer, for political cover, decided to turn off the funds, and real people are getting hurt. FEMA services. I keep saying this because I live in a hurricane state. We're in the middle of hurricane season, and flood insurance policies cannot be renewed or purchased right now because Chuck Schumer's playing political games. This is real pain for real people. I can go on. There are articles written in the last 2 days. Some of your outlets wrote about low-income Medicaid or Medicare recipients, for example, who have been able to receive health care at home because we expanded that through telehealth and all that. All that is shut down. You have people with autoimmune deficiencies who are also disabled. They cannot go visit the doctor's office. So thankfully, mercifully, they've been able to be treated at home. But all that just stopped. So people are canceling their health appointments with their physicians that is vitally important for them to stay alive, because Democrats over here are playing games. We have one plea and one plea alone. We need a handful of Democrats to stop the madness, reopen the government so that we can get to these critical debates about the year-end policy decisions with regard to the further reforms to health care. Plain and simple, that's where we are. That's the facts, and everybody can draw their own conclusions. Don't listen to the words of politicians. Look at the actual evidence and the facts, and I think the case is very...
Well, I said that earlier. Don't buy into what they fucking say. Buy into what they actually do, right? Like, that's going to tell you, like, how they're voting or whatever. They can say anything to the fucking public. People got some good mouthpieces, and that's usually why people get into politics, usually because they do have a fucking fantastic mouthpiece. And I'm someone, like, in politics that they definitely avoid at all costs. You know, I'm someone that would stir up too many problems for them. I have got too much of a reckless mouth. I already know where I kind of am in that, you know, whole ordeal, right? But still, it's something that I still aspire to do and want to do. But nonetheless, thank you all so much for being here. I can't thank you guys enough, because without your guys' contributions, you guys being here in the chat, let me know all of these different things, what you guys think. This show wouldn't be anything. So I'm very honored to be able to present this, the facts of the case of whatever we're looking into for the day. And I'm very appreciative of your guys' contributions. With that being said, make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. Stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Flow State. His name is Powder Dusty on his channel. So make sure you let him know we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. He's a really good dude. And yeah, all right. Much love, honor, respect to everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. But until then, God bless everybody. We'll see you guys very soon.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken, he rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Chaos and earth, the thunderous roar. Insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with.